great addition to the show because your knowledge of everything as far as BMX is concerned made the show super interesting. So I thought, man, this guy knows everything, But anyway, let's start with Nick. Nick, you want to tell us a little bit about your BMX career, how you found the sport, how you got onto the show, so forth and so on, whatever you want to talk about.
Well, it started back in probably late 83, early 84. I used to go I had this Huffy Pro Thunder, and I started riding over to these trails back in Chicago where I lived. And I met these guys on BMX bikes that had all nice, PK Rippers, Hutches. I'm like, whoa, look at these guys. They got, So I became friends with them, and I'm like, and they were like, oh, you need to start racing. And I'm like, all right, well, my parents weren't big into that. So, they took me to a few, but I would ride with them. And they're like, you need to get rid of that bike, though. You need a better bike. You go, that thing's a piece of shit. I conned my parents into buying me a Redline bike for my birthday, which they did. It was a 500A. And then all hell broke loose from there. I started swapping parts, getting better things, put the graphites on there back then. And I just totally got diehard into it. I just went right in. Just kept going. I rode for 10 years, from 83 to 93. Then I quit, just got into the car thing and all that. And I raced for Sundance Cycle back then. I hooked up with them. I don't know if you guys know who they are. They were a big bike shop team. They had a national team that went all over too, but they were really big.
To the show, I had my editorial at the end called Colin's Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
right?
I forgot about it.
But the name of the show, Colin's Kool-Aid, was inspired by the head magazine guy at ABA at the time, who told Brad that he'd be willing to work with Rail the Berm and promoting him more if they got rid of Colin. And he said specifically, I don't know what Colin's problem is. Perhaps he drank too much of Greg Hill's Kool-Aid. So then it's like, okay, here we go. It's Colin's Kool-Aid. We'll talk about it.
Colin Kool-Aid, man.
Well, the ABA guys didn't like me because I'm a BMXican. I'm not a sanctionist. I'm all BMX. I'm not a sanctionist. Like, I don't belong to the ABA. I belong to BMX. And I would talk about stuff that was more than just the ABA, and they didn't like that. And then if the ABA was doing something shady, I'd call them out. So they didn't really like me. Looking at that point, I was free to talk about the ABA because my wife at the time was no longer, we used to print all the shirts for ABA. So if you got a shirt from probably 2002 to 2013, like an event t-shirt, I probably folded and bagged it, So we
no way.
Over $100,000 a year of t-shirts with the ABA. And back then they could call my wife up and be like, shut your damn husband up. We don't like what he said online, blah, 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 blah. That happened to me twice. But then when I was doing Rail the Berm, they went with T&B. We already went through bankruptcy, did all that stuff. So I was free to kind of speak my mind a little bit without my wife, now ex-wife, but wife at the time, getting mad at me because I said stuff. So the ABA doesn't really care for me too much, as a sanction, just because I call stuff out and speak my mind. I'm not like Nick there that would brown nose the sanction all the time. The only thing he ever bags on the sanction about is the kitty backpacks.
That at the time I got on Sundance, and I remember riding it, and I still felt like I was getting taller, and it felt small. So you guys I know Colin knows him, but Frank Nuccio, I don't know if you guys know him.
No.
He came up to me and he's like, dude, that GT looks too small on you. I go, it does feel. He goes, dude, we got a new frame in it, S&M Homes. He goes, it's the first XL frame. He's like, you need to get this. So I go to the shop, they swap on my parts for me, and that little bit longer frame made the world of difference, man. I was like jumping triples. It was like I could lean back. It was so comfortable. That bike was awesome. It was tan with chrome forks. It was a sick ass bike, dude.
I just found out who it was named after a couple months ago.
I know. I same here. I never knew. I heard. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, really?
I felt like such an idiot. I asked John Salami. I go, dude, who's it named after? And he goes, John Holmes. Did you know that?
I thought that was a joke, but it's true.
Oh, God, dude.
Kidding.
S&M had a video where they had Dee Snider on it.
Yeah.
Dee Snider, Twisted Sisters, was holding the S&M frame like this, And he's like, look at the Holmes frame. Notice the length. That was on an S&M video.
Well, what about you, Colin? What did you ride? What were you? What was your equipment?
I grew up in Florida, man. The first bike I ever got, this guy Tony Sanaka. He was the local pro. I think at the time I met him, he was probably A pro. They made it to AA pro. So I bought an old bike, used bike from him that was a Haro, and then he got on to MCS, Florida, Motocross South, MCS. So I rode an MCS brand into Cyclecraft when Cyclecraft moved down to Florida. Then later on got onto the Standard, and then had a little brief time on S&M.
Wow! So you followed the untraditional path. I got a question for you, man. Knowing all these TOs over the years, I would assume that you know TOs from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2020s. Do the concerns or the challenges for track operators, does it change over time, or is it always the same 2 or 3 problems that TOs have?
That's an interesting question. I would say early days, TOs always have the same issue. Here's your typical track operator. They work a full-time job, 50 hours a week. They dedicate 30 hours a week on BMX, and 85% of them either make no money running the track or they spend money to run the track. And, so they're working 50 hours a week on their day job, 30 hours a week doing the track. So when anybody bitches about anything at the track, they're kind of like over it. So getting help and getting respect has always kind of been a thing with track operators through the years. I know in the early days, the pre-soil tack days, a lot of them got blown out trying to just maintenance the track, especially back east where it rains a lot. Living out west, when I moved to Arizona, when I lived in Florida, I was a part-time weatherman. If it was track night, I had the Weather Channel on my house because I was seeing if we were going to be able to ride the track that night. I'm looking at, I knew where the tracks were at, like which track I was going to. And I'd see the fronts going by and seeing if I could if it was worth going to the track that night or not. Even though I grew up in Florida, I was like an hour and a half from my local track. So it was always it sucked to drive all the way there and the tracks rained out when you drive an hour and a half to get there.
Hey, Colin, back in the NBL days, though, and I noticed this back in Illinois, weren't the tracks more, and I know because I got pictures, and I raced at this track called Lombard BMX. It wasn't groomed like today tracks. It just looked like they carved it out of the ground, and it was loose dirt with weeds and shit, and you just raced on it.
What company made the Reactor, a bicycle? What company made the Reactor?
Diamondback
made the Reactor. Good job, Colin. Yeah. Colin's got the lead. Going back to Kevin.
BMX.
Back to BMX. Who has the nickname the Master?
Ooh.
Bob Haro.
Oh, that's a miss. What do you think, Nick?
The Master?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even heard that nickname.
Look at Colin.
Colin, I know he's going to know. Let me, I'll go with, I don't know, man, because I don't know. I'll let Colin get it. I don't know.
What do you think, Colin?
Became known as the Diesel before it was Master Matt Hayden.
Matt Hayden.
Police officer got that with Dirty Fest a couple years ago. I bumped into him in Vegas one time with his kid, and I partied with him after the Christmas Classic one year in Ohio. Matt the Master Hayden.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
I wouldn't have done that because that's like newer when I quit at that time. So I only know the old school. That's why that name did not ring a bell to me.
Dude, he was the Master in '89 when he was on.
Yeah, but
yeah, he was on GHB in '84, 85.
Dude,
Yeah.
But it didn't ring a bell to me. I never knew that was his nickname.
My brother raced him every week.
And he was that close to beating Danny Nelson in '94 for the Elite Men World Championship. I remember being in the bleachers going crazy when he passed Ellis in the semi.
If I'm right, Colin, Matt went off into the infield and he could have taken Danny out, but he didn't. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was he on Torker?
He was on balance, I believe, in that main event.
It was Balance Sports. Yeah.
I think he was on balance.
And Danny was on Powerlight.
Redline and then Torker later.
Okay.
So he might have been Redline, but I think he might have been. I don't know. That's a good question.
So Kevin missed it. Nick stole it. So Nick, it's your turn.
Let me do pop culture this time.
Pop culture. What are the 3 rules for taking care of Mugwai in the Gremlins? What are the 3 things you cannot do?
Put them in water. Feed them?
You got to go a little further than that. You're on the right track.
Okay, you can't put them in water. Shit. Huh. I always thought there was just a one. You can't put them in water. I didn't know there was 3 of them. I got this one so long.
It's an 80s movie, dude.
Was there something about feeding them, maybe? You couldn't feed them?
You're on the right track. You got to go a little
time, right? You couldn't feed them past midnight or something?
That's 2.
That's the second one. Okay. There's one more.
Don't put them in light or something?
Nick, good job, my dude. All right, yeah. So no sunlight, no water, and don't feed them after midnight. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking there. I haven't seen that movie forever, man.
I'm impressed. That was
on your ass, bro. Good job.
That was one of the hardest questions, Nick. I was really impressed that you got that in. All right.
Colin, did you know the answer?
What's that?
Did Colin know the answer to that?
When he said sunlight, I got the third one. I knew the first 2, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
that's a one. Yeah.
Midnight.
All right.
The
So
water
Colin,
one, I think is the most. I think the water one's the most common because that's what makes them split up into more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think more people knew that one than the other 2.
And we won't mention Phoebe Cates, dude.
wow. So,
Oh, about to say, man, Phoebe Cates. Oh.
No, I know, right? Well, who would you take? Colin, who would you take?
I saw on Facebook that today was Phoebe Cates' birthday.
So who would you take? Back in the day, who would you take? Phoebe Cates or Kristen Hollins?
Oh, Lori Loughlin, Phoebe Cates.
What'd you say?
That's one, huh?
Phoebe Cates was a babe, but
Fast Times at Ridgemont High coming out of the pool. That's Phoebe Cates.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, it was definitely
Or Christian Hollins that played in Rag.
Lori Loughlin hit me like I was a little bit too young for Fast Times, but I masturbated to Lori Loughlin more than any other girl growing up. So I'm going Aunt Becky, baby.
that is, Kevin, this is the funniest answer I've ever heard, dude.
I don't even know what the other. So the other option was Lori Loughlin.
Yeah.
Okay. Phoebe Cates
All
was
right.
wrong, dude. Twice on
The thing
Sunday.
is, I know Phoebe Cates, like looking back, Phoebe Cates takes it, but at the age that I was introduced to Lori Loughlin, I was the right age for that. And whoo,
Nothing wrong with Lori Loughlin, dude.
dude,
Would you ever want to be a participant in the contest? Do you ever want to do it or no?
I like just giving the questions, and then I feel like if I was playing, I don't think I could lose, dude.
You don't think I can? You don't think that I could get if we switch roles for one episode, right?
Yeah.
And I came up with the questions. You don't think you would lose? Anyways, maybe we'll talk about maybe switching roles for one episode.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it all. No, I just the pop culture stuff, because I'm not good with music and stuff like that. I think I would falter on that. But with the BMX stuff, the 80s stuff, I'm like, I feel pretty confident I can answer the questions. But then again, I kind of have an advantage. I'm always looking and reading and studying and making questions. So And
my questions would not come out of the magazine. They would come off of Wikipedia.